The world calls me a god, just because my computer can connect to a 2D world. I can bestow items from reality upon them. And a kitchen knife I casually tossed in actually became their divine artifact. Meanwhile, the sacrifices the little people offer me can enter reality. But what I didn't expect was, their very first sacrifice scared the living daylights out of me. Just as I clicked open the Pixel God game, a voice suddenly echoed in my mind. On this day, the world has finally welcomed back its great god. Your descent has given the world meaning once again. When I came to my senses, the scene on the computer started to change. A flat green field appeared on the screen, surrounded by forests and rivers. In the center was a white domed temple. Right after that, the voice rang out again. This is your temple. Please name the temple. My name is Lin Yao. Then let's call it the Yao Temple. Just then, two bare-chested, barefoot little people appeared in the corner. They moved all the way over, walking around the temple. An exclamation mark popped up over one of their heads. What a magnificent house! This must have been built by a god. The other little person raised both hands high. This is a revelation from the gods. It's a blessed land. We need to get more people to settle here. The promised land, smiley face symbols floated above both their heads. They ran all the way off screen. A few seconds later, they came back with 5 more little people. One little person started worshipping around the temple. They built a tiny thatched hut next to the temple. They also transplanted some berry bushes from off-screen and started living next to the temple. A prompt appeared on the screen. You have gained your first batch of believers in this world. The power of faith is your means to perform miracles. Gather more faith. A small human avatar appeared in the top right corner, representing the population. Next to it was a palace icon representing faith. Both the population and faith values were at 7. One believer only provided 1 point of faith. I clicked on faith, and a locked orb of light appeared. This is a miracle. It requires a certain amount of faith to unlock. The most basic one was rainfall. There were also many more powerful miracles. Fire of Aegir, the god of the deep sea, imprisoned a fire dragon and turned it into a spectacle capable of shooting out massive flaming boulders. Looking at these miracles, I fell deep in thought. In other words, I needed 10 believers just to cast one basic miracle. Increasing the population became the top priority. Unlike other simulation games, the God Simulator didn't let me directly build houses or spawn residents. I could only wait for the pixel people to reproduce on their own or gather around and watch them farm. Just then, I noticed the little people around the temple were acting strange. Sad expressions floated above their heads. One by one, they gathered around the temple to pray. Great God, please manifest yourself. Please bless us, great God. The forest tribe thinks we worship a demon. They want to tear down the temple. Please show us a miracle. I instantly understood. This was the little people's first crisis, but with only 7 faith points, I couldn't even make it rain. I kept clicking around. Finally, my mouse clicked on the temple and opened a brand new interface. Right in the center was a stone campfire, and in front of the fire was a gray human statue. Its face was blurry, making it impossible to tell if it was male or female. It seemed to be the pixel people's imagined image of their god. In front of the statue was a long table. There were 2 slots on the table. The large one on the left was labeled sacrifice. The small one on the right said bestowal. Both were currently empty. Offering is easy enough to understand. But gift? That must be some power or item the god bestows upon his followers. Could this be the miracle they were asking for? But then I noticed something strange. That long table. Why does it look so familiar? Wait a minute. That table is identical to my computer desk. The shape of the offering slot is a perfect rectangle, just like my keyboard. The gift slot is oval-shaped. Could it be my mouse? And looking closer, isn't that statue of the god me? The thought startled me. Then a bold idea popped into my head. Carefully, I placed a clove of garlic from my desk onto my mouse. I stared at it with anticipation. 2 seconds later, the garlic clove rolled off the mouse. Just a coincidence, I guess. I chuckled at myself. But just then, the garlic clove that had rolled off suddenly vanished into thin air. I instinctively looked at the screen. In the temple's gift slot, a pixelated icon of a garlic clove had appeared. I clicked the icon. A line of text appeared, a gift from the god, a special spice, also a medicinal herb. Do you wish to bestow the garlic upon your followers? A shiver ran down my spine. I ran a lap around my small apartment. Then I splashed my face with cold water. Once I had calmed down, I returned to my computer. On the screen, the item in the gift slot was, indeed, garlic. This meant the garlic in my hand had truly been sent into the temple through the spot where my mouse was. Although I have no idea what this game is or where it came from, or how it can break the barrier between realities like this, I'm curious to see what happens when the real world and the game world interact. What will be the result? So I clicked yes. The little people praying outside the temple all had exclamation marks pop up over their heads. The God has answered. The God has sent a miracle. Great God, thank you for your gift. Garlic, a gift of garlic from the God. After kneeling and praying, the little people ran off to spread the news. The expressions above their heads all turned to smiley faces. They all got busy. Working together, they cleared a plot of farmland. Tiny green sprouts emerged from the soil. They slowly grew into green seedlings. A message also appeared on the screen. Your gift, has taught your followers how to plant and use garlic. Your faith has increased. The faith value in the top right corner jumped from 7 to 22. It seems that giving gifts is a quick way to gain faith. Next, I found a pencil on my desk. I figured a tool would be very useful for a tribal civilization, but when I opened the page, the garlic was still in the gift slot. I clicked on it. A prompt appeared. The garlic is being integrated into the world. Please wait patiently. Well, I guess I'll have to give up for now. I've only just started this game. I'm still figuring out a lot of the mechanics. About half an hour later, a group of little people ran onto the screen from the edge. They were all wearing leather vests. The one in the lead wore a horned helmet and carried a wooden what? They surrounded the temple, holding torches. This den of demons must be destroyed. You followers of the devil. Burn it. Burn it all. Burn it down. So this is the forest tribe the little people were talking about. They think a demon is worshipped in the temple. Exclamation marks appeared over the heads of the temple's 7 followers. This is the palace of our God. This is the Yao temple. Our God has sent us a miracle, the divine miracle of garlic. But the forest tribe wouldn't listen to reason. They just kept shouting about setting it on fire. I opened the miracles menu. I hovered my mouse over the first option, rain. If I made it rain, given the primitive understanding of these little people, they would probably think their God was angry. But on second thought, no. If I'm going to make a move, I might as well go big. My eyes scanned further down the list. Miracles were listed in order of faith cost from least to most. Rain, 10. Lightning, 20. Scorching sun, 25. Hurricane, 30. Earthquake, 40. I only have 22 faith. So I locked onto lightning. You're the one. I selected lightning. The mouse cursor changed into an icon that let me select and drag an area of effect. I narrowed the range, locking it right on the head of the forest tribe's leader. As they say, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. With great power comes great responsibility. You asked for it. Thunder from the heavens. With a gentle click of the mouse, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky of the pixel world, striking the little person in the horned helmet. It blasted him and 2 others nearby into dust. The rest of the forest tribe had exclamation marks pop up over their heads as they scattered and fled. Only the temple's 7 followers remained. Angry expressions appeared above their heads. Divine punishment. You have angered the god. This is the fate of blasphemers. I watched, very satisfied. It feels good to be worshipped as a god. I relaxed, feeling a bit of a crick in my neck. This game doesn't require a lot of actions, but it has a strange, addictive quality. Before I knew it, it was already 12:30 a.m. Although I was reluctant to stop, I still turned off the computer, washed up, and went to bed. After all, I have work tomorrow. Lying in bed, I thought drowsily, if I can create natural disasters and continuously bestow things from the real world upon the people of that world, then in the eyes of those pixel people, I really am no different from a god. The next day, as soon as I got off work, I eagerly opened God Simulator. I clicked Continue Game. The familiar pixelated world slowly unfolded again. I breathed a sigh of relief. Good, the save file isn't corrupted. But the scene on the screen surprised me. There were now 5 thatched huts next to the temple. In front of each hut was a well-tended plot of farmland, all growing garlic. In the top right corner, the population had gone from 7 to 30. The faith value was 25. I did some quick math. After using lightning yesterday, I should have only had 2 faith points left. Now it's 25, which means it increased by 23 points. The population also increased by 23. This confirms my theory. Under normal circumstances, each new person brings 1 point of faith. More importantly, this game continues to run, even when it's not open on the computer. A notification appeared on the screen. Your followers all are now numerous enough to establish a tribe. Please give it a name. I casually typed in the word garlic. Following the simple naming conventions of ancient times, the specialty of these followers was the garlic I had gifted them. Calling them the Garlic Tribe seemed reasonable. Your miracles and gifts, have led to the official establishment of the Garlic Tribe. The Yao Temple is becoming known to more people in distant lands. I focused my attention on the new population. Those 23 new pixel people were all wearing leather vests. They were completely different from the original 7 barefoot, bare-chested locals. They were part of the Forest Tribe. Some of the Forest Tribe's pixel people had joined the temple's faction and settled here. Last night's lightning tactic had an immediate effect. Whether out of fear or reverence, they were definitely drawn here. With a larger population came a simple division of labor. The tribe's people were no longer limited to just farming. Besides garlic and berries, 2 of them started hunting in the forest. Another was by the river, trying to catch fish with his bare hands. Overall, the Garlic Tribe was still in a primitive stage of society. All its members were working hard just to find food. I opened the temple interface. The garlic in the gift slot was still on cooldown. Looks like it's a long one. If I had known I could send real-world items into the pixel world, I would have chosen wheat. That would have solved the early game food shortage. Or I could have sent a bow and arrow. Once they mastered archery, hunting would be much easier, and they'd have a way to fight back against the Forest Tribe. Just then, my eyes drifted downward. I suddenly saw something that wasn't there before. A red item had appeared in the offering slot. I moved my mouse over it. It was a red creature, curled up in a fetal position. It looked like some kind of newborn animal. The text description read, "Garlic Tribe, infant, an offering to the god." My face twitched. An offering of a living person? That does fit the customs of primitive humans worshipping their gods. A prompt appeared on the screen. Do you wish to accept the Garlic Tribe infant offered by your followers? I decisively clicked no. If a baby suddenly appeared in my apartment, I'd have no way to explain it. The police would be inviting me down for a chat. Even worse, what if the Garlic Tribe kept sending babies? Just thinking about the cost of formula and diapers is enough to make my head spin. I'm a god, not your tribe's daycare provider. As I rejected the offering, the entire tribe had exclamation marks pop up over everyone's heads. The god is not pleased. The god does not want the infant. I told you, we shouldn't use an infant. It should have been an adult. Someone to help the god farm and pick fruit. No. We should use our prey, the best prey we have. The god would surely like a wild boar. I think it's fish. Fish is the best. Let's find a new offering. Seeing the pixel people's conversation, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But if they offered some wild game or river fish, I could make a nice late-night snack tonight. The entire tribe, except for 5 people who stayed behind, ran off into the nearby forest and mountain areas. They looked left and right, seemingly searching for a suitable offering. That's when I noticed one pixel person who was different from the rest. He was one of the original 7 followers. He stood outside the temple, shirtless and barefoot, looking up at the sky. A question mark appeared above his head. I moved my mouse over the question mark. A speech bubble popped up, containing his inner thoughts. What kind of offering does the god truly need? He doesn't need an infant. He probably doesn't need more people. He gifted our tribe the miraculous garlic. The god's world surely doesn't lack for food. The Forest Tribe blasphemed the temple and tried to raid it, and they were struck down by a heavenly disaster. The god must possess a great power beyond our imagination. The things we have are meaningless to the god. Only things that we cannot understand or use, these magical things, might the god accept. Then, the question mark turned into a lit light bulb. He seemed to have understood something. He ran into the dense forest. I was a little surprised. This little person's ability to think was clearly a cut above those around him. It was as if his intelligence had awakened. A short while later, he ran out of the forest, holding an object in both hands, and entered the temple. A small icon appeared in the offering slot. It looked like a short staff, carved from a tree branch, a scepter. The text read, Staff of Vigor. Recovers 1 point of stamina and faith per hour. This is a treasure created by the god of the forest. It can absorb the overflowing life force of nature. When the wielder touches it, they can draw vigorous energy from it. It was lost after the fall of the forest god. Do you wish, Chai, to accept the Staff of Vigor offered by your follower? I clicked yes. The staff icon in the offering slot disappeared. A short staff, about the length of my forearm, appeared on the black keyboard in front of my computer. My palms started to sweat. Although I knew that gifts could be passed from my world to the pixel world through the temple, theoretically, offerings could also be passed from that world to mine. But seeing it actually happen before my eyes, I couldn't help but hold my breath. I carefully picked up the staff. It doesn't sink and weighs about the same as normal wood. Its surface is covered in vertical grains, but it feels smooth and delicate to the touch, as if coated with a layer of clear varnish. The top has 2 short prongs, like a broken piece of a clothes drying pole, except there are tiny green shoots growing on the prongs, giving it a sense of vitality. Holding the scepter of vigor, I felt a jolt of energy surge through me. The soreness in my back and waist vanished without a trace. It was like I was 14 or 15 again, able to pull an all-nighter gaming and feel completely refreshed after a short nap. A magical item from the pixel world, it really works in the real world too. A line of text appeared on the scepter. Vigor maintained for a maximum of 12 hours. This means as long as I hold this scepter, I theoretically don't need to sleep. The next day, whether at work or in class, I'll never doze off. My heart pounded with excitement. I waved the scepter around for a bit, thrilled, then I calmed down. Wait, that's not the most important part. It's the top-tier items. I can really bring them out of the pixel game world, without a doubt. There are other magical items in the pixel world, just like the Scepter of Vigor. Magical items. If I can continuously bring them out through the temple, then this game is a bottomless treasure chest. I felt completely refreshed and clear-headed. With the temple's amazing resources and this ability to bring things over, it won't be long before I can escape this miserable life of a wage slave. I'm on my way to the top, then I turned my attention back to the game. The little pixel people were all returning to the tribe. Smiley faces appeared above their heads. The god likes the offering. That's great. So that's the kind of offering the god likes. I'll definitely find something even better. I still think a wild boar is the best. The god must like wild boars. A boar is way more impressive than that branch. I noticed the 2 little people who insisted on the boar and the one who liked fish had both joined from the forest tribe. They were wearing leather vests. I guess the forest tribe mostly gathers and hunts, so it's understandable they'd think prey is the best gift. That makes sense. I scanned the little people, trying to find the one who offered the Scepter of Vigor. But these little people all look identical. No names, no distinguishing features. It was hard to tell them apart, but after some searching, I found him in the temple, shirtless and barefoot. There was still a question mark above his head. A new message appeared on the screen. A believer has shown signs of wisdom. Would you like to convert him into a prophet? In many ancient cultures, a prophet is someone who receives divine revelation and communicates the god's will. This little pixel person who found the Scepter of Vigor definitely fits the bill. In the pixel world, I need someone who can understand my intentions, even if it's just a small part. It's better than having a bunch of them guessing blindly. I really don't want another baby showing up in the offering slot. I immediately clicked yes. The tribe's first prophet has appeared. Under the prophet's guidance and influence, everyone's intelligence has slightly increased. The prophet knelt and worshipped the idol. Then he walked out of the temple. As soon as he appeared, all the little pixel people surrounded him, as if they knew he had received the god's favor. The prophet said, "The offerings our God desires are miraculous items that we cannot comprehend or control." Miraculous items. Everyone, keep an eye out from now on. If you see anything like that, offer it to the god. You will receive the god's blessing in return. The prophet is right. Listen to the prophet. Let's find miraculous items. A miraculous wild boar. I know of a miraculous white boar. No one has ever been able to catch it. I've seen a miraculous fish in the water. It eats all flesh and bone. It's very miraculous. The god will definitely love it. I looked speechlessly at the last 2 pixel people who spoke. As expected, they were both wearing leather vests. Even without any markings or names, I recognized them at a glance. It was that pair of brothers again. Those two, with their obsession over pigs and fish, were as conspicuous as fireflies in the night. You couldn't miss them. Although the prophet had told the others about the characteristics of the offerings, in the next 3 hours, none of the other pixel people found anything similar. Most of them returned to their normal lives, planting garlic and berries, and then eating them. Soon after, 2 new babies were born in the tribe. The pixel people started to assign someone to take care of the newborns, and the only one I could control and guide was the prophet. And even then, I could only move him to a specific location. Whether he could understand or discover anything depended entirely on his own comprehension. After watching for a while, it was already 6:30 p.m. I was getting hungry. I went downstairs to a small restaurant and ordered fried rice with green peppers and shredded pork. After gobbling it down, I hurried back. On the screen, the garlic tribe had undergone a new change. A black bear, from who knows where, had stormed into the tribe. It had destroyed 2 farm plots and 1 house. On the ground lay the bodies of 2 pixel people. Most of the others were hiding behind the temple, trembling. One was even standing right next to the temple, holding the tribe's 2 infants. The black bear was 2 or 3 times the size of a pixel person. To them, it was some kind of giant monster. It was currently tearing at the bodies on the ground. It took so long to get 2 newborns, and I was counting on them for more population and faith. And you show up and take them out? You've got a death wish, don't you? Taste my heavenly justice? Just as I was about to charge up a lightning bolt, I suddenly noticed the situation. It was interesting. 2 pixel people from the tribe were confronting the black bear. They were wearing leather vests and holding wooden clubs. They circled the bear, one in front and one behind, continuously striking its head and rear. As they moved, they shouted, "The power of the pig! I'm as agile as a fish!" Listening to them, I realized it was that pair of brothers. I hesitated. If I use lightning now, those 2 little guys might get blasted to smithereens. Just like that horned helmet leader before. I need them to get some distance first. The tribe's population can't afford any more losses. So I decided to wait and see. The 2 pixel people were very agile. They coordinated, one in front and one behind. They'd land a hit and then run. Then the other would attack. It kept the bear fighting on 2 fronts. The wooden clubs didn't do much damage, but they were starting to annoy the bear. Flames of anger appeared over its head. It dropped the bodies on the ground and madly chased after the 2 little people. But this time, they didn't engage. They both fled towards the forest. I understood. They were trying to lure the bear away, to prevent it from harming anyone else. Usually, these 2 brothers seem a bit unreliable, but when it matters, they really step up. I immediately selected lightning. I anticipated the bear's path towards the forest and tried to keep the blast as far away from the 2 brothers as possible. A silver bolt of lightning struck down from above. The black bear was hit square in the head by the thunderbolt. It was instantly vaporized. The 2 brothers were knocked to the ground. But after a few seconds, they got back up. They were alive. I breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing the bear killed by lightning, all the pixel people raised their arms and cheered. Smiley faces appeared above their heads. Only the prophet had a question mark over his head. I clicked on the question mark. I saw the prophet thinking, why would a bear come out from the deep mountains? My father never saw a bear this large. Where did it come from? Why did it suddenly attack the garlic tribe? Finally, the prophet handed the child he was holding to a person next to him and walked over to the bear's charred corpse. An exclamation mark lit up over the prophet's head. I saw the text prompt, the corpse, has transformed into a dead pixel person. The tribe's people were instantly terrified. It's a follower of the demon. Someone who worships the demon turned into a bear. They wanted to destroy the temple. It's a man-eating demon. It's attacking us. How terrifying there's a demon here. I'm getting out of here. 3 of the little pixel people immediately scattered and fled. The population in the top right corner dropped to 25, and faith fell by 3 points, including the 20 faith points spent on the lightning and the boost from the scepter. The temple only had 7 faith points left. I scratched my head. A whole day of hard work, gone in an instant. Back to square one. Being a god isn't easy, huh? What concerned me more was the new demon element. It sounds like demons and gods are on opposing sides. The tribe was just established, and a demon worshipper has already attacked. I don't know if it was a coincidence or if we're being targeted, but it seems I'll have to deal with demons in the future. The prophet found a letter on the demon worshipper's body. The target is the forest tribe. Attack while the forest tribe's hunters are away. Kill as many people as possible. The question mark above the prophet's head turned into a glowing light bulb. I understand now. This demon worshipper who transformed into a black bear came to the wrong place. He mistook our tribe for the forest tribe. That's why he attacked us. Their target is the forest tribe. We're still safe. The other terrified little people finally calmed down. They started repairing the destroyed houses and farmland. I opened the temple interface. The garlic in the blessing slot. The garlic in the slot hadn't disappeared yet. This meant I still couldn't provide any long-distance aid. The offering slot was empty, and the tribe's people hadn't brought any new offerings. But to my surprise, 2 more little pixel people entered the temple. Oh, great God. 2 believers have performed deeds far beyond their peers. Would you like to convert them into heroes? I didn't hesitate. Yes. A white light shone on the 2 little pixel people, and above their heads, the title hero appeared. It was, of course, those 2 brothers. I could also guide and control hero characters. I selected certain areas and had the 2 heroes explore and patrol those zones. Compared to the prophet, who is good at thinking, heroes are better at exploring and scouting. Clicking on the 2 brothers repeatedly would open a detailed character interface. The interface showed pixel portraits of the 2 male heroes. The one who likes boars was muscular. The one who likes fish looked slender and agile. They both wore the same leather vests, no other equipment, so one of them really was a hunter, and the other was a fisherman. Their stats were a bit pathetic, though, but they are heroes who awakened from ordinary pixel people, after all. Can't ask for too much. Then I opened the prophet's character interface. The prophet's portrait showed him shirtless, looking up at the sky. Status? Farmer. Except for his knowledge attribute of 13, all his other stats were 0. Luckily, the prophet had a special ability: wisdom. Wisdom is the key for an apostle to hear the God's will. The higher the level of wisdom, the easier it is to improve and comprehend various abilities. I hovered the mouse over the 6 attributes. Over the 6 attributes, the screen showed the function of each attribute: attack, defense, knowledge. It was very similar to the Heroes of Might and Magic series. It seems that in the future, both prophets and heroes will be able to lead troops into battle. But right now, the Garlic tribe's population is small. Production is still in the early stages of primitive manual farming. They haven't invented farm tools, nor have they mastered the art of weapon making. It will take some time before professional soldiers can emerge. So, I selected the 2 brothers together and sent them to explore the forest. For now, I can only rely on these 2 bachelor heroes. I hope they have some good luck. A few minutes later, the 2 brothers actually made a discovery in the forest. They found the forest tribe's settlement, and they were treated with hospitality. One of the forest tribe's people had an exclamation mark appear above his head. They want to trade leather and meat for our tribe's garlic. The 2 brothers returned to the tribe to meet with the prophet and informed him of the forest tribe's request. The prophet fell into thought. I was a bit conflicted too. Should I tell the forest tribe about the black bear or not? The garlic tribe is still very weak. Trading with the forest tribe now could attract attacks from the demon worshippers, but this is also a chance for the tribe to connect with the outside world. We can trade for the leather and meat we lack and build a good relationship with the forest tribe. After thinking it over, I selected the prophet and moved him directly into the forest. After all, development is the only way forward. If the tribe wants to avoid being attacked, it has to seize every opportunity to grow quickly. Otherwise, after the forest tribe is wiped out, the demon worshippers will turn their attention to the garlic tribe. I can't miss this opportunity. An exclamation mark appeared above the prophet's head, unconsciously. I've somehow arrived in the forest. It seems this is the God's will. The God believes we should ally with the forest tribe. Let's do it. The prophet then entered the woods. A little person in a leather vest walked out of the camp. A small path had been cleared in the forest, leading to another settlement deeper within. On the computer screen, the boundaries of my observable area expanded further outward. From my God's eye view, I could see clearly. The forest tribe had over 100 people. They lived in various tree houses. Unlike the garlic tribe, where everyone did everything, the forest tribe had 2 distinct professions. Farmers specialized in growing berries and mushrooms, and traded them with others for food. Hunters used traps and wooden spears to hunt birds and rabbits. They traded their prey with the farmers and used the animal pelts to make leather. Normally, the farmers stayed in the tribe to tend to the berry bushes and mushroom patches. The hunters, on the other hand, went deep into the forest or mountains to find prey. The leader of the forest tribe was called a shaman. He wore a wooden mask The shaman and the prophet were in constant conversation. However, their dialogue wasn't displayed on the screen. It was as if the two of them had opened a private chat channel. Even I couldn't see what they were saying. Fortunately, after 10 minutes, several messages appeared on the game interface. The prophet has informed the forest tribe of the demon worshippers' attack. The forest tribe's attitude has changed to friendly. The prophet has taught the forest tribe how to cultivate and use garlic. The forest tribe's attitude has changed to close. Blessing fully completed. Garlic has been integrated into the world. The forest tribe and the garlic tribe have successfully formed an alliance. Your faith will now spread within the forest tribe. Seeing this string of good news, I felt a sense of relief. The prophet's actions had paid off handsomely. With the forest tribe's population of over 100, I'd at least have a chance to gain some believers. These were all sources of the faith I currently needed. The alliance also gave the garlic tribe a reliable trading partner. Most importantly, the blessing was complete. I quickly opened the temple interface. As expected, the blessing slot was now empty. This meant I could now transfer another item over. I was excited for a few seconds, then fell into deep thought. What exactly does the garlic tribe need most right now? Writing? Tools? Food? I toyed with the scepter of vigor in my hand. All sorts of ideas popped into my head. Each one seemed useful. Just as I was struggling with indecision, another line of text appeared on the screen. To thank you for the gift of garlic, the forest tribe has presented an offering. My heart leapt. The second offering has arrived. I quickly opened the temple. A green plant appeared in the offering slot. It looked like a cactus. Cactus follower restores 1 faith per hour. A loyal servant of the god obeys the god's commands, responsible for cleaning and making offerings in the temple. A group of reliable and hard-working sprites. Normally takes the form of a cactus, transforms into a living being in the presence of the god. I quickly took out the offering. In an instant, a plump, round cactus appeared on my keyboard. It was the size of a fist. It looked no different from a cactus you'd buy in a store, a full green sphere covered in sharp spines. Suddenly, the cactus began to sway. It grew slender green arms and legs. It bent its knees, and its round body pressed against the desk. It bowed to me solemnly. Do you know how to clean? The cactus follower remained kneeling on the ground and nodded. Then clean the floor in here. Receiving its command, the cactus follower leapt down from the desk, landing gracefully and steadily. Then it started running around the floor. Wherever it went, dust, hair, and debris were swept up and stuck to its body, gathered and compressed into a ball. It was like a small living vacuum cleaner. Soon, the floor was spotlessly clean. Even the crumbs and years of grime from the cracks were pulled out. The old, cracked floor tiles gleamed with a clean light, as if they had been waxed and polished. I crossed my legs and opened a bottle of cola, watching the cactus work. I felt a strange sense of contentment. So this is the joy of being a god. Work, however, wasn't going as smoothly. Yesterday, I managed to slip out early, but today the whole company had to work overtime. The boss must have had a bad day somewhere because he came back, called a last-minute meeting, and chewed everyone out. He demanded everyone write a summary of their recent work and turn it in before the end of the day. A heavy, oppressive atmosphere hung over the entire office. No one dared to move a muscle until he left. Just then, my colleague, Fangji, handed me a wafer cookie. Thanks, Fangjie. I was actually getting a little hungry. Fangjie was one of the 3 official employees at the company. She was around 30, single, and around 30. While not exactly beautiful, she was gentle and easy to get along with. She said my temperament reminded her of her cousin, so she always looked out for me, but my mind was completely preoccupied with the simulator. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the boss left. Want a ride? It's on my way. No, it's okay. All right, be careful on your way home. Fang Jai's tone suddenly changed. You heard about that incident recently, right? Some pervert who likes to knock people out and then hang them up with ropes. Yeah, I heard about it. The 2 victims were a female college student and a male delivery driver. I heard they're both in therapy. Don't you live in the Juyuan community? I nodded. But right now, all I wanted was to get home and check on my simulator. I didn't chat much longer. I sprinted all the way back to my little apartment. Garlic tribe, your god has returned. As I opened the door, on the computer desk in front of me, the cactus follower immediately knelt down to greet me. I noticed my small apartment was completely transformed. The bedsheets, duvet cover, pillowcases, and curtains were all a shade brighter. All the surface dust and stains had been sucked away. The wardrobe and nightstand were wiped clean and shiny. A faint, grassy scent filled the room. The only thing the cactus hadn't touched was the computer and the computer desk. In its eyes, these two items seemed to be some kind of sacred, inviolable domain. Only a god could touch them. The 24-inch LCD monitor glowed white. Ever since I found out God Simulator runs automatically, I just stopped turning it off. The simulator was always running. I walked over to the computer. The garlic tribe had changed again. The tribe's population was now 38. Among the 13 newcomers were people in leather vests, both people in leather vests from the forest tribe, and barefoot, wandering natives. There was even a wild man with thick hair, draped in leaves. The faith value had become 44. I could fire off 2 more lightning bolts now. The cactus follower and the staff of vigor combined provided 2 faith points per hour. This was a fixed income. The new population was a variable income. Now, for today's main event. I opened my bag and took out a clear plastic baggie. Inside were light brown seeds, wheat seeds. This was a decision I had carefully considered. First, I need to make sure the garlic tribe has enough to eat. Only then will they have the energy to develop writing, pottery, or even weapons. Once they have ample food, they will naturally develop greater needs and the motivation to think. A prompt appeared on the screen. Do you wish to bestow wheat upon your believers? Yes. A moment later, outside the temple, exclamation marks popped up above all the tribe members' heads. They raised their arms and cheered for the god's blessing. Long live the miracle great God. Thank you for the gift of wheat. Miraculous wheat, delicious food. Let's eat our fill. The God has given us wheat. We must make good use of it to better spread the God's faith throughout the world, just like with the garlic. As expected of the only intellectual in the tribe, the prophet has a great sense of the big picture. Faith jumped from 44 to 84. The garlic had increased it by 15 points. The wheat brought in 40 points. It seems blessings have different levels of effectiveness. For now, food has a greater impact on the garlic tribe. After a while, the prophet entered the temple and knelt in prayer. A question mark appeared above his head. I clicked on his query. Oh, great God, the forest tribe knows of a frozen apostle of an old god. They wish to offer her to you. In return, they need us to teach them about wheat. But wheat is far too precious. My humble wisdom is insufficient to weigh this decision. I can only devoutly ask the omnipotent Yao Shen, can you grant me a revelation? The screen displayed a choice. Do you wish to share wheat with the forest tribe in exchange for the apostle? In this God simulator, there's no detailed description of this pixel world. It doesn't provide a full map or various data. As a god, I have to explore it step by step. The last time the black bear attacked the tribe, I initially thought it was just a wild animal attack. It was only after the prophet examined the body that he identified it as a demon worshipper. In a way, I don't know much more than these little pixel people. I am just a player, a status they cannot comprehend. A status. Like an external god who has descended upon the pixel world. Then it occurred to me, if there's an external god like me, then there are likely native gods in this pixel world too. I looked at the scepter of vigor in my hand and the dormant cactus follower in the flower pot. Both treasures originally belonged to the god of the forest, and the temple shows that the god of the forest has already fallen. That's why his possessions were scattered. A god like the god of the forest, is he one of the old gods? Are these gods the old gods? Unfortunately, no one could answer that question for me. After a moment's thought, I made a decision. Exchange. Wheat is valuable, but after the alliance, it would be hard for the garlic tribe to monopolize this grain. Rather than risk them getting it for free later, it's better to make a clean trade now. I clicked yes. Afterwards, a light bulb lit up above the prophet's head. God, your servant knows what to do. He immediately started a private chat with the shaman. The two sides quickly reached an agreement. The people of the forest tribe all had smiley faces pop up above their heads. Yao Shen has blessed the tribe with grain. The great Yao Shen, then the people of the forest tribe carried a stone coffin out of the forest. They carried it all the way to the outside of the garlic tribe's temple. Then the people of the garlic tribe brought it into the temple. A gray stone coffin icon appeared in the temple interface, titled Apostle. I clicked on the apostle. A portrait appeared on the screen. Inside the gray coffin lay a woman whose eyes were covered by a black cloth. There were fine cracks on her cheeks, and her body looked as if it were sealed in mud and ash, a gray rock-like shell. It almost merged with the stone coffin. If not for the faint outline of a soft, girlish face, she would be indistinguishable from a stone statue. Apostle Frozen belongs to the god of the forest. Apostles carry out the will and commands of a god. They listen for the god's voice. They are vessels for a god's descent into the world. According to the description, it seems an apostle is a unit that a god player can directly control. But waking her up won't be easy. I clicked on the apostle. A prompt appeared. Convert her into an apostle for your temple. This requires a large amount of faith. Please confirm. Do you wish to spend 500 faith to convert the apostle? 1 lightning strike costs 20 faith. An apostle is equivalent to 25 lightning strikes. An expenditure of faith on this scale is something I simply can't afford right now. I can only put the matter of the apostle aside for now. I'll just keep focusing on development. This frozen apostle belonged to the god of the forest. The scepter of vigor was dug up from the forest by the prophet. The cactus follower also came from the god of the forest, and now a frozen apostle has been dug up from under the temple. It seems this forest has some kind of connection to the god of the forest. It's a shame I can't talk to the little pixel people. There's no option to ask questions either. After that, I turned my attention back to building up the tribe. I moved one of the brothers to the riverbank and the other into the forest. One was a fisherman and the other was a hunter. This way, they could each play to their strengths. Soon, the 2 heroes reported back. The best fishing spots in the river are all in deep water. We need boats. The tribe needs to build boats to be able to fish. Medicinal herbs have been discovered in the forest. There are animal bite marks and bloodstains on them, but they're unidentifiable. We need an apothecary to identify these resources. The problem is a lack of specialized talent. I knew I couldn't rush things, so I relaxed and just watched. I found 2 cobs of corn in the freezer, frozen solid. I cooked them for dinner, munching on the hot, soft, and sweet corn while watching the little tribe members bustle about. It felt like I was a kid again, watching ants on the ground, simple and happy. A short while later, watching ants on the ground, simple and happy. A short while later, it began to snow in the pixel world. Winter had arrived, except for the 2 heroes, the garlic tribes, pixel people who were outside all came back. They all huddled in their houses for warmth. During the day, they went around gathering branches for firewood and clearing the snow around the temple and farmlands. Fortunately, the wheat had been planted early. A bountiful harvest provided the tribe with plenty of food. Faced with the harsh winter, the little pixel people weren't afraid at all. They all had happy emojis above their heads. We have wheat, we have enough food. No one will starve this winter, thank goodness for the god's gift of wheat and garlic. Just then, the forest tribe suddenly paid a visit. Unlike their past trade visits, this time, the shaman himself led the group. The prophet welcomed them. He lit a bonfire amidst the snowdrifts to warm themselves with their visiting allies. An anxious expression appeared over the shaman's head. Friends from the garlic tribe, we've encountered a problem we cannot solve. We implore you to help. 20 of the forest tribe's hunters, our tribe's best hunters, went deep into the forest for one last hunt, to prepare for the winter. But a great avalanche of snow from the mountain has buried them in the northern part of the forest. We can't find them. Only the god's great power can save us. We beg the temple of Yao Shen, the omnipotent Yao Shen, to have mercy on these hunters. If it's possible to help them survive, we will build a temple in our tribe to worship Yao Shen. We will offer you sacrifices and our tribe's loyalty. An exclamation mark appeared above the prophet's head. Since you wish to pray for the god's protection, then go to the temple and worship Yao Shen. Only the most devout prayers will receive the god's mercy and blessing. The shaman led his people to worship around the temple. I thought to myself, according to the shaman, if I can find those people, I can get a temple built in the forest tribe as well. That means I could bless 2 tribes at once and receive 2 sets of offerings. But how do I rescue those hunters buried deep in the snow? I thought of the scorching sun miracle. It costs 25 faith. Using it should be able to melt the snow. I selected Scorching Sun. On the game map, in the northernmost part of the forest I could reach, I stretched the area of effect as wide as possible. Then I clicked. In the northern part of the forest, a brilliant golden light appeared in the sky. The thick white snow quickly vanished, revealing many little people lying on the ground, shivering. An exclamation mark appeared above the kneeling shaman's head. Oh, great God! The forest tribe is eternally grateful for your mercy. We have absolute faith in your great power. We will build a temple to worship you at once. We will build a temple to worship you at once. The shaman sent out a group of his people. They quickly headed north to the part of the forest where the snow had melted. They soon found the missing hunters. Just as the shaman had promised, the forest tribe also built a temple. But to my slight disappointment, the temple interface didn't change. My plan to double the blessings and offerings didn't come true. But there were other gains. Your miracle has changed the forest tribe's attitude to worship. Because they worship the same god, the forest tribe is in the process of merging with the garlic tribe. My spirits lifted. If I could merge with the forest tribe's 100+ people, that would be a huge boost. Hundreds of faith points, the population increase would also expand the temple's sphere of influence. More people means more random events could be triggered. The current expenditure of faith would yield long-term, sustainable returns. I observed that the forest tribe didn't seem to have any faith in a god, no temple, no totems. And the shaman, unlike the prophet, didn't show any reliance on a god. He was more like an experienced elder, guiding the entire tribe with wisdom passed down from his ancestors. This was actually a good thing for me. If the forest tribe also believed in some god, a conflict of faith would likely occur. The tribes might even go to war. Now, between the two tribes, a wider road had been built. Houses were being constructed along both sides. There were the garlic tribe's thatched huts and the forest tribe's tree houses. The two tribes were growing closer and closer. I waited for the two tribes to merge completely. Suddenly, I heard a ringing sound. The sound was coming from outside. I live in an old residential complex. The alley is pretty empty during the day and even quieter at night. I walked to the window and looked out. Something was swaying back and forth under the streetlight. It looked like something was hanging from the lamppost. Looking closer, it was a person hung by a rope from the concrete lamppost. The phone's ringing was especially clear in the alley. I immediately dialed 911. Hello, police? There's a person in the alley outside. Police? In the alley outside, there's a person hanging from a rope. This is the locomotive factory dormitory in the Juyuan community. Please come quickly. The police asked for the address and details of the situation. They told me not to do anything rash. They were on their way. I put down the phone. I breathed a small sigh of relief. It's best to let the professionals handle this kind of thing. Just then, the normally dormant cactus follower suddenly hopped onto the windowsill. It faced the direction of the person in the alley. Its spines were tense. It seemed extremely wary. What is it? Did you find something? The cactus follower nodded. Touch. Too bad you can't talk. Great Yao Shen, if you say I can speak, then your follower will speak. The cactus knelt on the ground. A voice with a strange accent came out. I was stunned. You can talk? You permitted me to speak. Only then can your humble follower speak. What did you discover about the person who was hung up? My Lord God, that is a demonic ritual. Demons use cruel, and extreme rituals to gain faith. They use fear and ignorance to capture and control believers. Demons. What's the difference between a demon and a god? My Lord God. A demon is simply an evil god from the other side. Hearing this, I understood. A demon was just another name for another god player. Besides me, someone else was also using the god simulator to obtain offerings. I immediately remembered what Sister Fang had said. There's a psycho on the loose in the Juyuan community. I secretly warned myself that I had to be more careful. I can't let anyone discover the simulator on my computer. Once the demon player finds out, they will definitely try to steal my magical items. They might even attack me. And that wouldn't be just a game anymore. I found a small flower pot. I said to the cactus follower, without my permission, you are not to move, you are not to speak, you are just a cactus. Stay put in here, understand? Yes, my Lord God. The cactus follower bowed respectfully. Outside, the phone's ringtone was still repeating, as if crying for help. I looked down at the lamppost again, at the person hanging there. He seemed tired. He was no longer swaying or struggling. His features became much clearer. Under the light, he was wearing a black bra. His skin seemed to be covered in blood. I remembered I had a pair of binoculars at home. With the help of the binoculars, my vision became even clearer. I actually recognized the person under the lamppost. He was a hairdresser. He worked at a salon called Biaogan. Precision cuts across from the complex. His name was Inki. His real name was unknown. Because that salon was affordable, a haircut was only 15 yuan. I often got my haircut there. I had some impression of Inki. He had dyed his hair a light blonde. He was probably in his early 20s. He spoke softly and didn't make awkward small talk. He wasn't annoying. After being rescued by the police, and Ti was completely terrified, he didn't say a word. He just wrapped himself in a jacket a police officer gave him. He seemed to be in a daze. His body was smeared with strange symbols and blood. Those symbols looked like some kind of distorted Arabic numerals. They were all connected, like some kind of chain, wrapping around his body in layers. The police cordoned off the scene. They also like some kind of chain, wrapping around his body in layers. The police cordoned off the scene. They also came to my door to take my statement. I told them what I saw. I just left out the part about the simulator and the demonic ritual. By the time the statement was done, it was already 2 in the morning. Holding the scepter of vigor, I wasn't tired at all. I looked at the cactus in the flower pot on the table. Have you been to our world before? Your humble follower. This is my first time visiting your divine realm. I was given life by the great god of the forest. However, the divine realm where the god of the forest resided seems to be different from yours. There was water everywhere. I am too insignificant. I cannot possibly comprehend what a divine realm is. What did the god of the forest look like? He could not be looked upon directly, but just like you, great god, it is impossible to describe the appearance of such a great being. I could only vaguely see the shadows that the gods revealed. I managed to get some information out of the cactus. He didn't have a name. He was created by the god of the forest, one of many cactus followers. He spent his entire life doing chores in the temple. After the god of the forest gifted the cactus followers to the pixel world, he never summoned them back. He only knew that the temple gradually fell into ruin. That meant the god of the forest had fallen. Eventually, the cactus was buried underground when the temple collapsed. Many years later, he was dug up by people from the forest tribe while they were foraging for mushrooms. However, only a god can command a cactus. The pixel lifeforms couldn't make the cactus return to its true form. Since you're a relic left behind by the god of the forest, then I'll call you, make the cactus return to its true form. Since, you're a relic left behind by the god of the forest, I'll call you Xiao Yan. The next day at the office, just before closing time, did you hear that psycho showed up again yesterday? And it was in your Juyuan community. See? I told you it was dangerous. Good thing you didn't walk home that night. I can't even imagine running into a psycho. To show my gratitude, I ordered her a small cake and a coffee for delivery. After work, I hopped on a shared electric scooter and sped off. Compared to the bus, the scooter doesn't get stuck in traffic and can take shortcuts. Theoretically, it's the fastest mode of transportation. When I got home, I eagerly sat down in front of my computer. On the screen, winter in the pixel world was over. The snow was gone without a trace. In its place were patches of green shoots and grass. The people of the garlic tribe were clearing more land. The people of the forest tribe were hunting everywhere. Everyone had returned to their familiar routines, looking at the neatly arranged rows on the ground and the ever-expanding wheat fields. Even I, the god, felt a sense of joy. The prophet and the shaman were standing outside the temple. It seemed they were having another private chat. Smiley faces occasionally popped up above the two of them. They looked relaxed and content. The ancestors of the forest tribe were once believers of an old god, the god of the forest. But that's just a story passed down by the elders. They say it happened in a previous era. The elders say, before the god of the forest disappeared, this forest covered more than half the world. Back then, all the beasts were friends of the forest tribe. Even the ferocious demons were tamed as servants. Everyone had a long lifespan and lived in symbiosis with the trees. Ferocious demons were tamed as servants. Everyone had a long lifespan and lived in symbiosis with the trees. They possessed power granted by the god. But that was so long ago that we can't be sure what's true and what's not. Starting from the time of the previous shaman, the forest tribe has suffered from a chronic food shortage. The winters are getting colder, the animals are becoming scarcer, and the shadows of demon worshippers have begun to linger in the forest. This forest is withering. My friend, I now need to make a difficult decision. We want to move out of the forest to worship at the temple. Will Yao Shen accept the forest tribe? An exclamation mark appeared above the prophet's head. Then it turned into a light bulb. As long as you are devout believers, you will receive Yao Shen's protection. The garlic tribe welcomes you. A notification appeared on the screen. The garlic tribe and the forest tribe have merged. Faith has increased slightly. Blessing fully completed. Wheat has been integrated into the world. I quickly looked at the top right corner. Faith jumped from 79 to 237. The population also went from 38 to 196. I couldn't help but pump my fist in the air. Yes, the early investment and patient waiting had all paid off. After the two tribes officially merged, the people of the Forest tribe began to move out. They learned to build thatched huts like the Garlic tribe. They cleared land for farming and planted wheat and garlic. On the other hand, the Forest tribe's group of hunters was still maintained. They regularly entered the forest to hunt, bringing back much-needed meat and leather. Gradually, the people of the Garlic tribe also started wearing leather vests. Just by looking at them, you could no longer tell the people of the two tribes apart. The Great Garlic tribe was thriving, but those two brothers had run into trouble. At some point, they had ventured together into the farthest western region of the forest. The area bordered a continuous mountain range. Just then, they sent out a warning. They ran back towards the tribe. Enemies in the forest, enemies are attacking. The two heroes' discovery mobilized the entire tribe. Under the leadership of the prophet and the shaman, the hunters all grabbed their wooden spears and stood ready. Soon, the enemies from the western forest revealed themselves. A group of savages clad in animal skins, wielding stone axes. There were only a dozen or so savages, but they were extremely fierce. They clashed with about 30 hunters. "Hand over your food, or we'll kill you all. If you don't give us food, you'll all die." The hunters struggled against these savages. Fortunately, the two heroes proved their worth. Armed with wooden clubs, they specialized in sneak attacks from behind the savages. A heavy club, combined with their agility, made it hard for the savages to hurt them. This fighting style was simple and effective. It left the savages repeatedly frustrated. Soon, the savages were beaten back. As they left, they cursed. "You dare to resist? You're all dead. We'll be back. Get your necks ready for the chopping block." I watched with a bit of regret. They didn't manage to wipe out this group of bandits. They just drove them off and came back. Then the shaman spoke. "It's the savage tribe. They live in the mountains. They have no wisdom. They're as fierce as wild beasts. The savage tribe is very powerful. Every one of them is a strong warrior. They've always plundered food from the surrounding tribes. The forest tribe, a large portion of our food was stolen by them. They are worshippers of a demon. They receive the demon's power and can transform into beasts. We cannot fight them." I suddenly realized. So the black bear from last time was a warrior from the savage tribe. No wisdom. Fierce as wild beasts. No wonder that guy couldn't even tell the Garlic tribe and the Forest tribe apart. He attacked the wrong target. I looked at the potted plant on my desk. "Zhaoyan, your god's faithful servant, awaits your command." The cactus immediately hopped out of the soil and stood at attention. "Can all demon worshippers turn into beasts?" "My lord god, transforming into a beast is likely one of the demon's abilities. Only a very small number of believers, a group known as heroes, can awaken the demon's power. So that's how it works." The lightning strike that killed the black bear last time left a complete corpse. That's because he was a hero among the demon worshippers, stronger than an ordinary pixel person. I looked at the two brothers again. "You're heroes too. Why don't you have any special abilities?" I opened their stat panels. I suddenly realized I had spoken too soon. The hero who likes fish, level 2 fisherman. Attack 2, defense 1, luck 2, awakened ability, water finding, level 1, can find a water source in any environment. The hero who likes boars, level 2, can find a water source. The hero who likes boars, level 2 hunter. Attack 3, defense 2, awakened ability, tracking, level 1, can identify the tracks left by various people and animals. They leveled up without me noticing. Although these two abilities aren't combat skills, they're quite functional. With tracking, it's no wonder they were able to spot the savage tribe. My bad, guys. I turned my gaze towards the mountains west of the forest. That's where the savage tribe lives. You think you can just walk away after offending a god? Not so easy. I immediately formulated a counterattack plan. First, I'll send the two heroes into the western mountains to continue scouting. With tracking and water finding, they're the perfect choice for reconnaissance. Next, I opened the temple interface. The blessing slot was empty again. I dug out a yellow-accented children's toy bow and arrow, made entirely of plastic. The arrowheads are made of soft rubber. I bought it at a toy store after work. Bows and arrows were crucial to early tribal civilizations. They were absolute game changers. They allowed people to break away from high-risk hand-to-hand combat and free themselves, using range to kite and wear down the enemy. Even though it's just a children's toy, the mechanical structure is exactly the same. I place the toy bow and arrow over the mouse. In the blessing slot, a red and yellow accented bow and arrow icon appears. Bow and arrow, a divine blessing. A powerful long-range projectile weapon, one of the most important weapons for armies and hunters alike. Would you like to bestow the bow and arrow upon your believers? I click yes. Exclamation marks pop up over the heads of all the little people in the garlic tribe. God Yao has bestowed a new blessing, the bow and arrow. What a magical bow and arrow. What an incredible weapon. He has bestowed a new blessing, the bow and arrow. A magical bow and arrow, an incredible weapon. We don't have to fear our enemies anymore. The hunters have the strongest reactions. Not only do smiley faces appear above their heads, they're literally dancing with joy. They quickly craft their own bows and arrows and eagerly rush into the forest. A question mark pops up over the prophet's head. The bow and arrow, a lethal long-range weapon. The deity wants to arm us, so we will no longer be threatened or attacked. The deity's will is for us to stand against the demon's schemes and defeat those evil, barbaric savages. That must be it. The shaman's thought process is completely different. The bow and arrow is like a frog shooting out its tongue. Those who wield it can hunt from a safe distance. As long as we're equipped with bows and arrows, not only can we hunt rabbits and monkeys, we can even shoot down birds in the sky. When facing venomous snakes, bears, and wolves, we no longer have to fear getting hurt. We need more bows and arrows. Everyone can be a warrior. A notification pops up on the screen. Your blessing has taught your believers how to craft and use bows and arrows. Faith has increased. Faith shot up by 30 points all at once. It's now at 267. After mastering the bow and arrow, the garlic tribe is visibly overflowing with martial spirit. Every pixelated little person heading out is carrying a bow and arrow on their back. The hunters are starting to bring back large prey like bears and deer. More animal hides are draped over the thatched huts. More dried meat is hanging on the wooden racks. At this moment, there's news from the two heroes. Discovered a new tribe, the Salt Pond tribe. They heard we have a steady food supply and want to trade. They didn't find the barbarian tribe, but they made an unexpected discovery instead. I pull the two brothers back to the tribe. I pull the two brothers back to the tribe. I pull the two brothers back to the tribe. I pull the two brothers back to the tribe. I pull the two brothers back to the tribe. They lead the people of the Salt Pond tribe all the way back. The visitors are two little people wearing linen clothes, carrying cloth bags on their backs. They look quite wealthy. As soon as they arrive, they start discussing trade with the prophet and the shaman. The Salt Pond tribe has always traded with various tribes. We use salt to exchange for food, clothes, and medicine. We wish to trade our salt for your wheat. A question mark pops up over the prophet's head. This seems like an opportunity. I must try to spread faith for the deity. I watch with great satisfaction. The prophet really understands my intentions. Friends from the Salt Pond tribe, have you ever considered a place better suited for survival? The little people from the Salt Pond tribe look at each other. We have the Salt Pond. The Salt Pond is everything. We can trade for anything. We don't need anything else. The shaman also speaks up to persuade them. The barbarian tribe is right there in the mountains. They worship demons. They will attack any tribe that doesn't worship their demon. The Salt Pond tribe will be no exception. A smiley face appeared above the Salt Pond tribe member's head. That's not a problem. We also believe in that great demon. Exclamation marks appeared above all the garlic tribe members' heads. The Salt Pond tribe member explained that the Salt Pond tribe's temple worships 3 gods. Among them is the one you see as a demon. We rely on the Salt Pond and trade to live. As long as we can live better, we can accept any faith. If needed, we are willing to worship the god here as well. The prophet and the shaman were both stunned for a moment. I watched and thought, well, I'll be damned. This Salt Pond tribe is the first polytheistic tribe I've seen. They are quite pragmatic. They remind me of early merchants. After discussing, the prophet and the shaman reached a consensus. They agreed to trade. The garlic tribe will begin trade with the Salt Pond tribe. The Salt Pond tribe's attitude has changed to neutral. The two Salt Pond tribe members walked around the tribe for a bit. Suddenly, an exclamation mark appeared above their heads. Garlic is a spice! We've discovered a one-of-a-kind product! They raised their arms in excitement. Please, give us as much garlic as possible. Priceless garlic. Wonderfully pungent garlic, I chuckled. I never thought my initial, unintentional action would come in handy now. In the early days of human civilization, spices were extremely expensive luxury goods. Wheat, bows and arrows, and leather were still conventional goods, but garlic was the only spice of its kind in the area. The Salt Pond tribe members left 2 bags of salt and took a large amount of garlic with them. They hurried back. A few minutes later, a notification appeared on the screen. The Salt Pond tribe has decided to make garlic a key trade good. Attitude has changed to friendly. Your faith will now spread within the Salt Pond tribe. Your blessing has overjoyed the Salt Pond tribe. Faith has increased slightly. Faith increased by 120 points, now at 387. I was stunned for a moment. The Salt Pond tribe seems to be something special. Just giving them the distribution rights to garlic yielded so much faith. Their population and scale far exceed that of the former forest tribe. On second thought, it makes sense. To be able to switch between 3 gods. You'd need some real strength. If they weren't tough enough on their own, the savage tribe would have wiped them out long ago. Late one night, the garlic tribe was attacked by the savage tribe for a second time. 25 savage warriors clad in animal skins and wielding stone axes charged out from the western forest. But this time, the garlic tribe's hunters had already pulled back their lines. Armed with bows and arrows, they unleashed a volley of arrows under the command of the 2 heroes. The savages were riddled with arrows. It seemed that they had absolutely no experience fighting against archers. They tried to block with their animal skins and their bodies. In the end, only 6 or 7 of them made it to the hunters. With superior numbers and the advantage of bows, the savages were completely wiped out. Besides those killed by arrows or who fled, the garlic tribe also captured 4 savage warriors. The prophet interrogated them. "Where is your tribe?" "Never betray. What is the demon you worship?" "Glory to our Lord God. You heretics will all die. How many of you are there in total?" "Never betray." The savages wouldn't talk. The experienced shaman tried a different approach. "Your bravery and loyalty have earned our respect. You have been defeated. If you go back, you will only be punished by your demon and your tribe. Here, we have wheat to fill your bellies. We have more powerful bows. We have delicious garlic. And we have dried meat and salt. Joining the garlic tribe is not a betrayal, because you will be converting to the great Yao Shen. With a god's protection, the demon cannot harm you." The 4 warriors were silent for a moment. An exclamation mark appeared above their heads. The 4 warriors were silent for a moment. An exclamation mark appeared above their heads. "Join garlic tribe. Join garlic tribe. The shaman is a great judge of character." Then, the 4 of them confessed everything. "Our tribe is in the mountains, to the northwest, next to a giant cave. There are 82 of us in total. Excluding the old and weak, we have 40 available warriors. There is a statue by the cave. It's a god wearing animal skins. He's called the Beast God. The Beast God requires us to offer him living sacrifices and many animal pelts. That's why the tribe must go out and plunder for food." The tribe produced 2 beast-morphing heroes. One went missing while attacking the forest tribe. The other remains in the tribe. Savage tribe enemy, demon enemy, never betray garlic tribe. They were shouting the exact same slogans as before. Their change of allegiance was seamless. The 4 savages took off their animal skins, put on leather vests, and quickly integrated into the local community, armed with bows. What surprised me was that demon, the beast god, had no idea how to manage a tribe. He just kept ordering the savages to hunt and plunder everywhere to gain faith. How the savages lived was completely outside his consideration. Now that we have bows and arrows, the threat from the savages is greatly reduced. My top priority is still to increase my faith value. The more of this strategic reserve, the better. After repelling the second attack, the garlic tribe entered a period of stability. The Salt Pond tribe continuously sent people over to buy garlic and bows and sell salt, which we lacked, as well as medicinal herbs and farm tools. They even built a wooden house here to serve as a permanent shop. As communication and trade increased, the hunters armed with bows continuously expanded their range of activity. The garlic tribe attracted more immigrants from outside, expanded their range of activity. The garlic tribe attracted more immigrants from outside. The population in the top right corner became 247. The faith value rose to 448. The rapid increase in faith in a single day rekindled an idea I had previously suppressed. Converting the apostle in the temple requires 500 faith. I'm only 52 points short if I just hold out a little longer, relying on the scepter of vigor and the cactus follower with their fixed growth of 2 points per hour, maybe, But the game, by 8:30 in the morning, when I left for work, the faith value was still stuck at 459. I was a bit distracted at work that day. Tomorrow is the weekend. I just wanted to rush home and stare at the simulator. Although the scepter of vigor could replenish my energy and make me feel tireless, the moment I let go of the scepter, the muscle soreness and fatigue would return with a vengeance. The scepter was more like a powerful stimulant. It could maintain my energy for a short time, but it didn't change the limits of the human body. Sleep was still essential. I was also pondering the old god in the temple, the apostle. Is he really worth such a huge investment? He was a trusted subordinate of the god of the forest, at least. Even Xiaoyan, a mere handyman, is very useful. The apostle probably won't be too bad. Most importantly, I haven't found any other way to create an apostle. For now, converting the old god's apostle is the only path. I finally made it to the end of the workday, but my boss suddenly assigned me a last-minute task. I had to travel 20 kilometers to deliver concert tickets to some CEO. By the time I finished and got home, it was already 8 p.m. I didn't even bother to wipe the sweat off my brow. I rushed to the computer. The faith in the top right corner was now 489. The increase was mostly from the magical items. Population growth had slowed to a crawl. So first, I went and took a shower. Then I walked to the window to feel the night breeze. I looked at the lamp post in the alley below. No one was hanging there today. That was to be expected. If someone was hung up every few days, that demon player would be challenging the entire police system. I went back to the computer. The faith read 501. I opened the temple interface and clicked on the stone coffin icon. Convert her into an apostle for your temple. This requires a large amount of faith. Please confirm. Do you wish to spend 500 faith to convert the apostle? I hovered the mouse over yes, but didn't click right away. I asked the cactus, Xiaoyan, who was beside me, does it really cost this much faith, to revive an apostle? Apostles are the most important right hand of every god. It is absolutely worth it. However, I do not recognize the apostle in this stone coffin. I do not know what abilities he has. You know all of the god of the forest's apostles? I remember the chief apostle, Mr. Forest. He was very powerful. He could summon the soul of the forest. I have not seen the others. I looked at the cactus, unimpressed. So you only know one of them, Xiaoyan said nervously. My lord. God, I'm just saying that I truly do not recognize this one. Different apostles have different abilities. Some are skilled in combat. Some are skilled in scouting. But an apostle is definitely worth it. You also need a walking apostle. I turned my gaze back to the screen. Let's do this. The faith value was wiped out, leaving only 1 point. The pixel world displayed a notification. The slumbering apostle has heard your call. Your faith has repaired her broken vessel and her parched soul. She is rapidly awakening from the sea of oblivion. Apostle, Forest's arrow, Su Yi. I will follow your will. I will carry out your divine decree. I will fight for the fire of your faith. The stone coffin shattered. After the dust settled, a young woman wrapped in a black robe appeared. Su Ye's eyes were covered by a black cloth. Her seaweed-like green hair was tied up behind her head. Her body had become soft again. The cracks on her cheeks had also vanished. She knelt on one knee in the temple. Her long black robe trailed on the floor. Su Ye was not facing the idol. She was facing me, in front of the screen. My God above, Su Yi offers you all her loyalty and faith. Your first apostle has been born. The faith of the garlic tribe has become stronger. The appearance of an apostle allows your faith to be known by a wider world. Blessing fully completed. Bow and arrow has been integrated into the world. My attention at this moment was entirely on Su Yi's personal stats panel. Apostle, level 15, Forest's arrow. Su Yi, attack 20, defense 20, knowledge 30, mana 30, 3 abilities. Wisdom, level 15, prayer of oblivion, level 5, Forest's arrow. Level 1, wisdom increases the improvement of all abilities. It's a prerequisite. Basically, an ability accelerator. A prerequisite, basically, an ability accelerator. Prayer of Oblivion means Su Yi is a summoner. A necromancer. Forest's arrow is her specialty. In battle, she can summon a holy arrow to boost all her combat stats. After battle, she can also create forest elemental creatures. She can build an elite force by fighting. These stats are completely out of place with everyone else in the Garlic tribe. She's like a high-level player from the main map who has come to the newbie village. I also noticed a dialogue box above Su Yi's head. There wasn't a single word in it, just a long blank input line. I tried typing, Suye, can you see this? She remained kneeling on one knee. Another dialogue box appeared above her head. My Lord God, Su Yi has heard your decree. Why are your eyes covered? My eyes have lost their vitality. Sometimes they fall out of their sockets, so I keep them covered to avoid frightening others. So this is what truly sets an apostle apart from the other pixel people. She can communicate across dimensions with a god player like me. I started typing furiously on the keyboard. How did the god of the forest you followed fall? The fire of faith vanished, and the memories of the gods were erased. What's the fastest way for you to level up? Using faith is the fastest way, but it consumes a massive amount of faith. Usually, apostles level up by carrying out their God's commands and gathering faith in the world through exploration, combat, rituals, and comprehension. I checked. To get Su Yi to level 16, would require 500 faith. In comparison, getting a level 15 Su Yi for 500 points was an absolute steal. The feeling of chatting with an apostle via text was kind of strange. Like the first time I chatted with a stranger online as a kid. Exciting and full of anticipation. Su-ya, how old are you? My Lord God, I cannot recall my exact age. What do you think of the Garlic tribe? A rather primitive tribe, sparsely populated. Civilization is undeveloped, very backward. Can you come to my world? Others cannot. But an apostle can. You would need to place me in the temple as an offering. I would then arrive in your divine realm. If you place me as a blessing, I will return to the temple. However, I ask that you do not do this. Every blessing and offering is extremely important. In the war of faith between gods, every opportunity to increase faith is precious. The more fiercely the fire of your faith burns, the greater your chance of controlling the entire world. What are you doing? Wait, hold on. A flustered Suye was dragged by my mouse and dropped into the offering slot. Do you wish to accept Forest's arrow, Suye? I clicked yes. The world blurred before my eyes. On my computer desk knelt a slender young woman wrapped in a black robe. Her eyes were covered by a black cloth. Her pale little face was tense. Her body was still trembling slightly. My God, what do you want me to do? Suye's voice was very soft. Her accent was a little strange, but she was speaking perfect Chinese. Her voice was soft. Her accent was a little strange, but she was speaking perfect Chinese. I wonder if that's another one of an apostle's special skills. I found it amusing. The cool and composed Su Yi from the temple had completely changed in the real world. She was like a young girl who had been abducted to a foreign land, helpless and pitiful. Listen to me. Su Yi, I brought you here for a reason. In this world, which you see as the divine realm, there is a demon on the loose. He has already performed 3 demonic rituals nearby. I brought you here to find a trace of him and to protect me. When Suyi heard that this was the reason, a look of understanding immediately appeared on her face. She calmed down as well. She knelt gracefully on the computer desk. Her head was slightly bowed. As you command. Suyi will find the demon and protect you, my Lord God. Right, can you still use your abilities here? Yes. Abilities nurtured by the fire of faith can transcend realms. Good. You can get down now. Suyi lightly hopped down from the desk. She was about 160 centimeters tall. Her delicate, fair skin was like porcelain. She had a slightly upturned nose and rosy lips. From her figure, she looked like a girl of 17 or 18, but she was wearing a black robe that covered her entire body, and her eyes were covered by a black cloth. This look was far too conspicuous. You should change your clothes first, otherwise before you find the demon, he'll find you. Suyi went through my clothes and picked out a white shirt, a pair of jeans, and a pair of slippers. I waited for him to finish changing before I went in. I also found a pair of sunglasses in the closet and a baseball cap. Can this be used to cover my eyes? With this loose, casual outfit, paired with Suye's green hair, black sunglasses, and baseball cap, he actually had a bit of a street-style vibe. Although the development of the tribe in the game is important, my safety in the real world comes first. Suyi's primary mission is to ensure my personal safety. After getting a general understanding of the simulator, I'm well aware that wars between gods are incredibly brutal. The beast god was a fallen god. Once the demon player finds me, they will definitely imprison and control me, turning me into a tool for farming faith. The fact that they're frequently hanging up ordinary people for rituals shows that some players no longer care about laws or morals. They're capable of anything. The little cactus, Xiao Yan, is fine for cleaning, but it has zero combat ability. With Suye guarding me, I'll be much safer. The next day was Sunday. Are you sure you want to go out with me? Sir, there is a demon lurking around you. I must not leave your side to ensure your safety. Going out to buy food is necessary. At the same time, we must minimize contact with suspicious individuals to prevent the demon from using poisoned food or performing a ritual. He had a point, but Su Yi, coming with me would cause other problems. Alright, I'm going to create a simple life story for you. Your name is still Su Yi. You're from a small country. Our parents know each other, so we've known each other since we were kids. You've also spoken Chinese since you were little. You're 18 this year. You came to the city for a vacation to relax. When we're outside, you'll call me Lin Yao. If you encounter a question you can't answer, just stay silent. Yes. Preparations complete. I took Suye out the door. First, let's get you some shoes. Suye's feet were small. He couldn't wear my shoes. At the mall, I had him try on a pair of canvas shoes. I also wanted to buy him a set of affordable clothes. But Suye kept refusing. Lin Yao, I can cut and sew my own clothes from cloth. That's how it's always been. Shoes can be made with just leather and cloth, or I can just wrap my body in a single piece of cloth. At night, it can also be used as a blanket. It's very convenient. Hearing those words, combined with his earnest, handsome face, made me feel a little sorry for him. Being an apostle, constantly on missions, can't be easy. We walked to the fresh produce section. I bought a lot of meat and potatoes, things that could be stored for a while. I also got rice and noodles. I estimated it would be enough for half a month. Lin Yao, someone suddenly called my name. An acquaintance, it was Fang Jie. She was with a male companion pushing a shopping cart. It was filled with ingredients for hot pot. I had no choice but to brace myself and greet them. You guys are out shopping for groceries too? This is my boyfriend. To be precise, my fiancé, Han Jigang. This is Lin Yao, the one I told you about. The handsome young guy from my office. He's a really nice person. Han Jigang was tall, with slightly dark skin, a square face, and a broad nose. He had a very masculine air about him. He smiled and greeted me. Hello. So are you going to introduce your friend here? Su Ye. A friend of mine. Wow. She looks like a doll. How did you two meet? Our parents know each other. We've known each other since we were kids. I kept a calm expression on my face. Su Ye, meanwhile, remained silent. Fang Jie glanced between us, but tactfully dropped the subject. Well, we won't keep you then. Han Zhigang suddenly spoke up. You live in the factory dorms in the Juyuan community, right? I'm with the Municipal Criminal Police Division. I was at the scene when that incident happened in the alley. But I was investigating the scene. The officers who took your statement were my colleagues. So you're a police officer? I nodded. What happened? Is it related to Lin Yao? Fang Jie looked surprised. He was one of the witnesses. He called it in. Officer Han, have you caught that pervert yet? I can't disclose that information. So you haven't caught him yet? That person is terrifying. The victims will be psychologically scarred for life. Han Shigang looked a bit awkward due to regulations. All I can say is that we will bring him to justice. After parting ways with Fang Jai and her fiancé, Su Yi and I, carrying large bags of groceries, took a taxi back to our apartment complex. I left the task of putting away the groceries to Xiaoyan. I eagerly sat down at the computer to control the simulator. Su Yi sat beside me, watching me click the mouse. He couldn't help but sigh softly. So this is what a lower dimension looks like from a higher dimension. It's easy to understand. If you look down on everyone from a very high altitude, they all look as small as ants. It's just a matter of perspective. Su Yi seemed lost in thought. He sat with his back perfectly straight. On the surface, it looked like he was watching me play a game. But in reality, he was extremely vigilant, paying close attention to any movement in the small apartment. By the way, Suye, since I was able to summon you here, does that mean I can also send other tribe members here through the temple? Sir, please do not do that. That would be extremely dangerous. A lower dimension, each life form entering a higher dimension, will be twisted by the forces of universal law, due to lacking the fundamental form and basis for existence in a higher dimension. Without the protection of a god's flame of faith, these life forms will undergo irreversible changes, eventually devolving into grotesque monsters. As an apostle, I have The flame of faith bestowed by a god within me. This flame allows me to temporarily exist in a higher dimension, but if I stay too long, I will also be affected by the dimensional constraints. So the real world is the higher dimension, and the pixel world is the lower dimension. I pointed to the busy cactus behind me. What about Xiao Yan? He seems completely unaffected. The cactus follower's situation is special. He was born in a higher dimension and then placed into a lower dimension by a god. Plus, he is a very simple life form, capable of adapting to many environments. So, how long can you stay here? The absolute limit is about 15 days. I must ask you to let me return to the lower dimension before then. Otherwise, I might be twisted by the forces of universal law, becoming very strange, and even devolving into a monster. It won't be a problem to summon you back after you return, right? No, it won't be a problem. However, it would be best to let me remain in the lower dimension for at least 3 days to allow my fundamental form to resynchronize. I get it. It's kind of like recharging a battery or getting a booster shot. If Suye stays here too long, he might mutate, but as long as he goes back regularly, he can maintain a stable form. With the preparations finished, I finally returned to the simulator. The top right corner showed a population of 254. Faith, 21. The internal population growth of the Garlic tribe was much slower than I expected. It's not that the little people weren't enthusiastic about making babies. They had plenty of them, but most of them died in infancy. Not many survived to adulthood. In the early days, the infant survival rate was less than 1 in 10. Now it's about 3 in 10. Besides infrastructure problems, the high infant mortality rate was also due to a major issue: a lack of doctors. The only doctor in the Garlic tribe was the shaman. One person was responsible for the medical needs of the entire tribe. Shaman level 2. Shaman level 2. Former hunter. Ability healing level 2. With the birth of new life, there is also the passing of old life. Untreated injuries and death from old age are the main reasons for the tribe's population decline. The deceased pixel people are buried in the forest, returning to the earth and nature. This was once a custom of the forest tribe, and it has been carried on by the new Garlic tribe. After winter ended, and it has been carried on by the new Garlic tribe. After winter ended, and it has been carried on by the new Garlic tribe. After winter ended, a particularly hot summer soon arrived. The entire screen was filled with a faint yellow glow. Large patches of grass dried up and turned yellow. The water level of the river to the east dropped. Smoke rose from the heads of all the little people in the tribe. They were trapped in a state of extreme heat. They spent most of their time hiding in their houses. They only went out to farm and hunt in the early morning and evening. The scorching sun and drought continued relentlessly. The little people once again gathered around the temple to pray. Lord Yao, please grant us rain. If this heat continues, the wheat and garlic will all die. Everyone will die. I didn't hold back. I spent 10 faith points to unleash the rain miracle. Long-awaited rain fell upon the parched land. The little people cheered loudly, praising their god. But the prophet and the shaman were talking. The god has sent rain and eased the heat. But we cannot endlessly ask the god for help. This hot weather might return. We must take advantage of the rain to find a long-term, reliable solution. The two wise men thought and thought, but couldn't come up with anything, so I guided them to the riverbank. The shaman paced back and forth by the river. Suddenly, a light bulb lit up over his head. I've got it. We can dig a ditch in the ground to bring the river water over. And when it rains, we can store the rainwater. The two immediately called upon the entire tribe to start digging the ditch. The pixel people worked from dawn till dusk, slowly bringing the river water to the edge of the farmland. They dug a small pond and a channel on the other side leading back to the river, creating a flow of fresh water in the ditch. Notifications kept popping up on the screen. The Garlic tribe has learned to build canals. They now understand irrigation and drainage. The Garlic tribe has learned to irrigate. Farm yields have increased. By mastering new technology, the Garlic tribe has gained prestige among other tribes. The drought was still ongoing, but with the completion of the basic canal system, their basic drinking water and irrigation needs were met. The pixel people's morale stabilized. In the midst of this long drought, the barbarian tribe returned for a third time. 32 barbarians participated in the raid, excluding the old, weak, and sick. This was practically an all-out raid by their entire tribe. Hand over your water and food. Damn heretics were starving and thirsty. They were full of aggression, but their battle cry made me laugh. They can't even feed themselves, and they're still calling others heretics? You don't even know how to beg properly. You have to kneel first to get anywhere. The garlic tribe of today was not afraid of an attack of this scale. The hunters, armed with bows and arrows, easily shot down the barbarians. 12 barbarians were killed. The remaining 20 were all captured. They had already been driven to desperation by the drought. With a little persuasion from the shaman, the barbarians immediately surrendered, willing to join the garlic tribe. They shouted that they would never betray them. I have reason to suspect that they had planned to defect all along. They were just simple-minded and didn't know how to get people to accept them. Or maybe the barbarians have a warrior's pride, and surrendering after a fight seems more honorable. The barbarians spoke of their tribe's situation. 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 It's too hot. Many people in our tribe have died. We have no food and no water, and the demon lord still demands offerings. Our hero was eaten by the demon as an offering. We went everywhere to raid. When we couldn't win, we came here. This confirmed my suspicions. The demon beast god was not a nurturing player. The barbarian tribe was just a tool to him. He only forced the barbarians to find prey for sacrifice, not even sparing their hero. The barbarian tribe was as good as dead. I was planning to wait until the drought was over, to completely wipe out the remnants, but they couldn't hold on themselves. Under the indiscriminate power of nature, the survival of human groups depends on who can best adapt to the environment. At least one of my worries is gone. I stretched. Beside me, Su Ye suddenly looked out the window. His voice was grave, sir, the scent of a demon. I walked to the window. The alley and street were empty. Night had fallen, and with the news of a pervert on the loose in the community, the only thing on the street was a white stray dog wandering about. Where? Su Ye pointed to a corner of the street. A middle-aged man was lying there. He seemed to be drunk. He was leaning against the curb, a pool of vomit beside him. The stray dog walked over to the man and sniffed him. Then it did something I never expected. It bit down on the man's clothes and started dragging him, bit by bit, into a parking alley. Sir, please command me to hunt the demon. You're going to fight the demon? How will I contact you? With my eye. Su Ye reached into his left eye socket. He pulled out a white eyeball with a green pupil. It had the cold texture and crystalline luster of a gemstone, like some ancient work of art. Sir, I use faith. It had the cold texture and crystalline luster of a gemstone, like some ancient work of art. Sir, what I see with the power of faith, I will be shown to you through this eye. You can also give me new commands through the eye. I carefully held the eyeball. Be careful, I warned. Don't let anyone else discover your identity. Yes, sir. Su Ye's body was enveloped in a black mist. He leapt from the windowsill and melted into the night. I looked at the cold, smooth eyeball in my hand. As I stared into the green pupil, a view completely different from my room appeared before my eyes. The streetlights on both sides of the road were rapidly receding. Su Ye was chasing his target at high speed. He turned into the parking alley. Under the dim yellow light, the stray dog's body rapidly swelled. Its front limbs straightened up. Its fur split down the middle. A head of messy, greasy hair appeared. Its mouth, covered in a thick beard, exhaled white vapor. Its eyes were bloodshot. It looked like a transformed humanoid beast. It suddenly occurred to me. This is just a high-definition version of the barbarian hero. The beast man tore open the drunkard's clothes, exposing his skin to the air. Then it vomited a pool of blood onto him. It used its claw-like fingers to dip into the blood and write strange symbols. Su Ye, a black shadow, closed in at high speed. He had grabbed a rusty steel pipe from somewhere. With a loud clang, he brought the pipe down on the beast man's head, right on its temple. It crashed into the windshield of an abandoned car, shattering it into a million pieces. But even under that level of impact, the beast man's head was only slightly dented. It was still struggling to sit up. Su Ye's steel pipe came crashing down from the air again. Once, twice, 3 times. Soon, the beast man's arm went limp. The pipe came crashing down from the air again. Once, twice, 3 times. Soon, the beast man's arm went limp and its body stopped moving. I was stunned. I thought he was a summoner, a necromancer. Why is he a physical damage master? Sir, this is a demon's believer. His rank should be hero. Suye's voice came from the eyeball. I realized the real demon was still hiding in the shadows. Yes, he should be watching from somewhere. But due to dimensional constraints, I cannot identify the god's identity. I can only recognize the flame of faith on the demon's apostle. It's difficult to pinpoint the demon's location. Is that demon's believer still alive? Alive. But because he was brought over from a lower dimension, he has already mutated into a monster. He is just a walking corpse, controlled by the demon god. The usual way to handle this is to, once they become monsters, they cannot recover, even if they return to the lower dimension. Killing them is the last mercy we can show them. Then do it. Su-Ye looked at the beastman again. Sir, he is already dead. On the dented car, only a dark human-shaped silhouette remained, like the ashen remains of a person after being burned. My sincerest apologies, sir. I have not fought in a long time. Although I tried my best to restrain myself, he was simply too weak. Even that level of force was fatal to him. Please punish me. It's fine. The result is the same either way. Suddenly, I felt the view shake violently for a moment. Then, it stopped. It was as if the scene had been paused. Su-Ye didn't respond. His body had entered some kind of frozen state. The view was also fixed, facing a streetlight. Most likely, the demon player had made their move. I calmly observed, thinking of a countermeasure. A person wearing a face mask walked into view. Their hood covered half their face finally caught you. You made me search for a long time. You're good at hiding, aren't you? Well then, I'll be taking that flame of faith of yours. The previously rigid Suyi suddenly sprang up, grabbing the person's wrist. Got you. The person trembled all over. Impossible. The beastification ritual has already been activated. How can you still be sane? Who are you? Suyi asked me through the eyeball. Sir, should I execute the demon? This is also the standard procedure. Not yet. Let me think. Pull off his hood. Suyi ripped off the person's hood, revealing a head of light blonde hair and a young female face. The hairdresser, Anki, stared at Suyi in a daze, a hint of confusion in her eyes. Now question her. Faced with Suyi's questioning, Anki answered readily. I don't know if it was because she knew she had no room to bargain, or if she simply didn't care. I quickly understood the whole story. Ansi had deliberately pretended to be a victim to hide her identity. She had summoned the barbarian tribe's hero to the real world to perform the beastification ritual. That's the one where you strip a person, draw a blood curse on their head, and then hang them up. The two targets of the ritual, the female college student and the delivery driver, were not ordinary people. They were other players of the simulator. The key to the ritual was a small beastification relief, which was now embedded in the barbarian hero's forehead. As long as a target was stared at by the relief for a long time, they would gradually lose their sanity, cognition, and memory. Enki suddenly looked furious. A high-level player like you, why are you still in the safe zone? I looked furious. A high-level player like you, why are you still in the safe zone? Those people on the committee are such bullies, preying on the weak. They only pick on us regular players, but they pretend not to see you guys. Is there any justice in this world? I told Suyi to remain silent, as I had instructed. A master knows that the more you say, the more you risk slipping up. If you don't speak, you're less likely to reveal any weaknesses. Ing-Chi wasn't surprised by Suye's silence. She took 3 items out of her pocket. Winner takes all. I get it. This time I was unlucky and ran into a brick wall. I admit defeat. This is all I have. I once made it to the crawling zone, but some bastard ruined everything for me. Strangely, I was sent back to the safe zone. I was just trying to use the beastification ritual to earn some extra cash and get back there quickly. Now all I have is one barbarian tribe, and it's collapsing because of the drought. Kill me or torture me. Do whatever you want. Besides, the committee is already after me. Go turn yourself in. This ends here. And she immediately took out her phone and dialed 110. Hello? Police. I'm the pervert who was hanging people up. Yes, that's the one. I'm turning myself in. I'm guilty. My name is Anki. I live at Nanpu Apartments, Building 3, Apartment 701, in the Juyuan community. Half an hour later, in a white, isolated room, I told you, he's a high-level player who shouldn't be in the safe zone. He's a high-level player who shouldn't be in the safe zone. He's a high-level player who shouldn't be in the safe zone. My idol of the Flayer had no effect on him. He killed my beastified barbarian hero. With 3 hits from a steel pipe, he was shrouded in a black mist. He didn't look very old. He's either a high-level player from the crawling zone or a high-level apostle. Definitely far beyond the standard for the safe zone. Definitely far beyond the standard for the safe zone. Across from Anki was a wall made of green bricks. Its surface rippled slowly like flowing water. A voice emanated from within the wall. Anki, the committee now announces your punishment. For harming ordinary players in the safe zone, illegally plundering faith, and disrupting social order, you are hereby sentenced to 10 years of confinement, or until you enter the crawling zone. The punishment is effective immediately. The room was instantly plunged into darkness. Only the faint glow of the monitor on the desk remained, illuminating Anki's resentful face. She sighed, sat down at the computer, and clicked the only icon on the desktop, God Simulator. But as soon as the interface opened, Anki slammed her fist on the desk in a rage. A high-level player is one thing, but even a newbie dares to disrespect me, destroying my tribe and my passage? Yow, God, you little brat, sir. These are the offerings from the demon. Suyi opened his hands, presenting 3 items. I first picked up a dark, statue-like object. It was about the size of a seal. It looked like a lump of soft, black clay. Its texture was somewhere between rubber and clay. Many eyes grew out of the black clay, glowing a sinister dark red. It had a rather evil aura. Idol of the Flayer, LV3. Increases faith by 3 points per hour. Attack +2. Can initiate the beastification ritual. Steals the sanity, cognition, and memory of a living sacrifice through its gaze, turning them into a powerful flaying beast in exchange for faith. No wonder. Anki said she was earning extra cash and faith. She was selling players to this mysterious Flayer in exchange for faith. The idol of the Flayer belongs to a special category of conceptual attacks. The 2 previous players would never have guessed during the ritual that the real threat wasn't the Beastman nor the Blood Curse, but this inconspicuous statue. And this treasure actually has a level indicator. It can be continuously upgraded. It has growth potential. I put down the statue and picked up another item. It was a whistle made from some unknown bone. Its surface was yellowed, looking quite old. Whistle of the Evil Bone. Increases faith by 2 points per hour. A treasure created by the Whistler. By blowing the whistle, one can control monsters and beasts that have lost their sanity. The whistle's ability was concise and to the point. The Idol of the Flayer plus the Whistle of the Evil Bone is a classic case of 1 + 1 being greater than 2. The former turns people or creatures into beasts, and the latter tames the beastified individuals for one's own use. No wonder Anki said, "Be my dog" before. She wasn't joking. She was just stating a fact. I looked at the last item. It was a letter. It was sealed with wax. A gentle tear opened it. Inside were 2 sheets of yellowed paper. Drifting letter. Increases faith by 1 point per hour. Number of usable sheets, 2. Write a message in the letter. Through a gift. The letter can be sent to a specific individual in the lower dimension. The recipient will definitely be able to understand the information in the letter. The letter that fell out of the black bear's corpse after it attacked the tribe was the effect of this item. The people of the barbarian tribe were muscular but not very intelligent. The transformed barbarian hero was physically stronger but closer to a mindless beast. So even though he could understand the letter, he still ended up attacking the wrong place. I thought for a moment. The beastification ritual of the Idol of the Flayer is completely opposite to my development strategy. It might generate faith quickly, but it's essentially working for the Flayer and attracting enemies, but it's perfect as an accessory. At least it gives +2 to attack. Suye, this is for you. Suye, this is for you. Suye, this is for you. Try not to use the beastification ritual if possible. Just wear it as an accessory. Yes, my lord. Young Master Evil Valley gave you 2 items that are meant to be a set anyway. Equipping them both on Suyi makes the most sense. Right, there's another way to deal with useless items. You can just throw them directly into the temple's campfire, which is the fire of faith, and burn them to gain some faith points. Out of the 3 spoils of war, I only kept the drifting letter. This thing was useless in Nkie's hands, because the barbarian tribe had no wise men. But for me, it's a very useful consumable. With it, I can write directly to the prophet and the shaman to convey my intentions. No need for indirect guidance anymore. I'm in a good mood. First, I rooted out the demon Nkai hiding in the shadows. I watched the police arrest him, eliminating the biggest security threat. Even if he pulls some trick to escape, I already know his true identity, and he has no idea who I am. Before, the enemy was in the dark, and I was in the light. Now, the enemy is in the light and I'm in the dark. The advantage is on my side. Plus, I scored 3 high-value spoils of war. Just the fixed income of +6 faith per hour is enough to make me laugh out loud. Combined with the cactus follower in the experience journal, that's a total of 8 points per hour. That's 192 points a day. In the past, faith was so tight, I had to think twice before using a miracle. Now, I can finally relax a bit. I can make it rain when I want to, and zap whoever I want to zap. But before going back to the simulator, there's one crucial question. Suyi, why didn't you use your abilities at all? My lord, the dying prayer consumes mana. It wasn't worth using on such weak enemies. What about the Sword of the Forest? The targets were too weak. They couldn't trigger the Sword of the Forest's effect. I felt a bit disappointed. I handed the eye back to Suyo. She took the eyeball and skillfully popped it into the socket behind her sunglasses. I turned my attention back to the simulator. Even though I couldn't bring myself to kill Anki, a real living person, I definitely had the guts to go hard on his barbarian tribe. Absolutely. In fact, I was feeling pretty bold, figuring Anki was still at the police station, drinking tea and unable to use his simulator. I directly opened the miracle selection. Earthquake required 40 faith points, but I only had 20 right now. I couldn't use it. Speed is crucial in war. I couldn't afford to delay. I grabbed a pen and wrote a message on the drifting letter. The demon worshipped by the barbarian tribe has been defeated. Do not miss this opportunity. Conquer and assimilate the barbarian tribe immediately to eliminate the threat. I placed the letter on the mouse. Do you wish to bestow the drifting letter upon your believers? Yes. Unlike before, this time, the little tribespeople didn't realize a bestowal had descended. The letter floated in the air after entering the pixel world. I clicked and dragged it directly onto the prophet. An exclamation mark popped up over the prophet's head. A revelation from the god. The barbarian tribe's demon has been defeated. The prophet and the shaman took immediate action. The garlic tribe dispatched 30 elite hunters. The tribe dispatched 30 elite hunters. Led by 2 heroes, they charged into the mountains. They quickly located the barbarian tribe. It was a small tribe nestled in the mountains, with only 20 or so people left. They were all lying on the ground, delirious. Gray ghosts floated above their heads. The little people were extremely weak. Even if the garlic tribe didn't attack, they wouldn't have lasted more than a few days on their own. The 2 heroes easily captured all the barbarians. Then, without hesitation, they destroyed the demon statue by the cave. The garlic tribe and the barbarian tribe successfully merged. Faith increased. Faith went up by 51 points, totaling 71 points. I looked at the cave near the barbarian's old site. It looked highly suspicious, but I wasn't going to let the little people risk it. I directly clicked on Earthquake, selected the cave entrance and its surroundings, and spent 40 faith points. The selected area violently shook and cracked apart. Massive boulders came crashing down. The cave entrance quickly collapsed, completely burying the nearby area. This way, if anything strange happened in the collapsed cave, I would be the first to know. A notification appeared on the screen. The faith of the god beast has completely disappeared from this area. His followers will begin to seek a new life. Summers come and go, but work never ends. I sat at my desk, organizing materials. Fangji leaned over. That little girl, Suye. She looks like a doll, so elegant. She must be the daughter of some rich family, right? When are you two planning to get married? I almost spat out my water. We're just friends. Don't pretend. A young girl wearing your clothes, going grocery shopping with you. If she's not your girlfriend, is she your maid? I really wanted to say that she was, in fact, my apostle, but I could only mumble, It's not what you think. Then what is it? Feng Jai pressed on. I had to change the subject. By the way, Feng Jai, how tall is your fiancé, Officer Han? 187 centimeters. A tall man makes you feel secure, you know? Speaking of which, I heard they caught that pervert. They did? Yes, but it seems the suspect's identity is a bit sensitive. It wasn't announced to the public. The case was handed over to a higher department. Han Zhigang didn't reveal much either. He said he had to follow protocol. My heart skipped a beat. Handed over to a higher department? That means Enki's identity as a player was exposed. More importantly, the player community. It seems there's a special department that handles them. This means that besides me and Anki, there are many others who are also playing the role of gods in the pixel world. I never thought Anki would mistake Suyi for a high-level player. And she mentioned a committee behind the scenes. That organization must be related to it somehow. But this also means that Anki has, indeed, been arrested. She won't be causing any more trouble for a while. Why are you changing the subject back to me? Suyi looks like she's not even 20, right? What country is she from? Her family is that comfortable with you? Don't tell me you two were betrothed as children. She already went home. You just let her go like that? What if she doesn't come back? With looks like that, you'll never find someone like her again. She had to go home eventually. Suyi had returned to the pixel world. It was both his personal wish and a necessary rule of the dimensions. The longer he stayed in the real world, the more likely he was to mutate. Anki had been caught. She had been caught. He had no reason to stay here any longer. An apostle's greatest mission is to serve as the arm of their God, spreading their faith. Returning to the pixel world is where he can best use his talents. In fact, Suyi only stayed here for 2 days. When I got home from work, Xiaoyun was quietly squatting in his flower pot, indistinguishable from a normal houseplant. The game interface showed that the garlic tribe was growing steadily. Population 303, faith 201. In the temple, Su Ye, dressed in a black robe, knelt quietly, facing me on the screen, awaiting my command. I typed in the chat box, "Anything unusual in the tribe recently?" "Sir, everything is normal. Nothing suspicious to report. I asked you to investigate the barbarian tribe before. The collapsed cave there. Any results?" "Sir, it was a passage inside. It connected to another, unknown region. However, due to the mountain collapse, it has been completely destroyed. It can no longer be used. Sir, I request permission to temporarily leave the tribe. A short while ago, I used lingering prayer to awaken a spirit. He told me of an oasis in the southern desert. In that oasis, there is a tribe called the Bedu. The Bedu tribe raises sheep and camels. They are a fierce and hardy people, and they control a passage that connects Yali to another plane. I wish to enter the desert and find the Bedu tribe, and make them your followers." I had full confidence in Su Ye's abilities. "Then go." "Yes, sir." Su Ye walked out of the temple and headed straight into the western desert, beginning his journey of exploration. I looked at the cactus, Xiaoyan, on the table. "Cook me a bowl of noodles with pickled peppers." The cactus, Xiaoyan, "Cook me a bowl of noodles with pickled peppers. Add an egg and a sausage." "Yes, my lord." Xiaoyan stood up from the pot, shook the dirt off his body, fished a packet of instant noodles out of a cardboard box in the corner, and ran off to cook them. "I'm renting a 2-bedroom apartment with my college classmate, Zhou Jie. Zhou Jie doesn't live here. The other room is used as a temporary warehouse filled with cardboard boxes. He usually comes over early in the week to restock and pack new inventory. I always lock the main door when I get back, so I'm not worried about anyone seeing Xiaoyan." The sound of stray cats came from outside the window. I couldn't tell if they were fighting or on a date. I got up to stretch my limbs. As I rolled my neck, I heard a series of cracking sounds from my body. I moved a little too much and threw out my back. As I was rubbing my aching back, a new notification popped up on the computer. The Garlic tribe has invented writing. Everyone's intelligence has slightly increased. The emergence of writing gave the Garlic tribe the ability to record information, allowing them to spread their civilization and faith across regions. If it weren't for my aching back, I would have done a celebratory dance on the spot. Writing is a symbol of civilization. The Garlic tribe has finally emerged from its unenlightened era. With the appearance of writing, the game interface was also updated. At the top of the screen, besides population and faith, several new resource displays were added: food, wood, stone, leather, and salt. They didn't show specific numbers, but were displayed as progress bars. Food was the most abundant, a healthy green. Hovering the mouse over it showed a detailed list. Wheat made up 80%, meat 10%, and the rest was miscellaneous. Salt and leather were also in the green. Wood was yellow, indicating insufficient reserves. Wood was yellow, indicating insufficient reserves. Stone was red, indicating an extreme shortage. I quickly understood. Only after the invention of writing could these resources be represented in written form. As civilization continues to develop and society becomes more complex, the interface will update accordingly. Fortunately, civilization runs and evolves on its own. I don't need to micromanage it. I just need to guide the overall direction. The game notifications continued. You have defeated the god beast in this region. The Yanqi tribe's attitude has become friendly. The Yanqi tribe has presented you with an offering. The word offering perked me up. I opened the temple. In the offering slot was a glittering golden object, a golden die. Costs 2 faith points per roll. Roll a 6 to receive an offering. My initial excitement vanished in an instant. The Yanchi tribe had offered me a gambling tool. I'm very sensitive to faith points now. The moment I saw the description for the golden die, one phrase popped into my head. This doesn't look good. The core of gambling is deception. Costs 2 faith points per roll. Where does that faith go, considering the Yanchi tribe's merchant-like behavior and their claim of worshipping 3 gods? I suspect that behind this golden die is some god pulling the strings, using the Yanchi tribe to run scams everywhere. Using gambling to defraud other gods of their faith savings is a much more clever method than Anki's laborious raiding. Much more clever. As for the probability of rolling a 6 to get an offering, it's completely unregulated. If he says it's a win, it's a win. If he says it's not, it's not. It's a blatantly rigged game. As Einstein said, God does not play dice. But since they sent something, there's no reason not to accept it. Su Yi said that unwanted offerings can be thrown into the flame of faith to be burned, to gain faith. I'll just throw the golden die into the temple's bonfire. Faith confirmed. It really wasn't worth much. I took a look at the Garlic tribe's geographical environment. A basin plain, perfect for a home base. There was still a lot of undeveloped land. The forest extended to the north. The east was blocked by a river. To the west were mountains. To the south was a desert. Although the world map was continuously expanding through exploration, there were no other settlements nearby. For rapid development, trading with other tribes, communicating, and even merging is the best way. Currently, the only safe passage is through the Yanchi tribe behind the mountains. They have a firm grip on the nearby reputation. Another potential passage is the Bidu tribe in the southern oasis. It will take some time for Su Ye to open up that route. Unlike the forceful conquest of the barbarian tribe, the Yanchi tribe's strategy is flexible. They are actively trading. For the time being, there is no conflict of interest between us. The situation is stable for now. After the Garlic tribe invented writing, there was another significant change. The Pixel people all learned to think simply. The question mark above their heads was no longer exclusive to the prophet and the shaman. I clicked on the question marks of different little people to read their thoughts. I woke up very hungry today. After I eat, I'm not hungry anymore. But the next day, I'll be hungry again. Since I'll always be hungry, is there any point in eating at all? The weeds in the wheat field grow faster than the wheat. If only wheat could grow on its own like weeds, so there would always be enough to eat. That would be great. If only it could grow on its own like weeds, so there would always be enough to eat. That would be great. Meat is delicious. Wheat is also delicious. Garlic is also delicious. But eating them all together is the most delicious. This secret is probably only known to me. The prophet is old. The shaman is also old. Should I succeed the prophet or the shaman? What a headache. Among them, the thoughts of one farmer caught my attention. There are a lot of weeds and bugs this year, and we had a drought. The wheat harvest will probably be bad. Everyone in the tribe is counting on the wheat. If we don't have a good harvest this year, we'll starve in the winter. He wasn't the only one. Several other farmers expressed the same concern. They were the professionals who tended the fields. They were very sensitive to the environment and food supply. I did some research and decided on the next item for remote support. I went to the kitchen, took a large potato, and placed it on the mouse. Do you wish to bestow the potato upon your followers? Yes. Exclamation marks popped up over the heads of the tribe's people. The god has sent another gift, a potato that can grow just by being buried in the ground. It's drought resistant. It has a higher yield than wheat, a brand new food source. The farmers all had smiley faces over their heads. This is great. Lord Yayo knew this year's harvest would be bad, so he gifted us the potato. No one will starve this winter, praised Lord Yao. The farmers quickly planted the potatoes in a new field. The dry season gradually passed. It rained a few times, but autumn didn't last long before it started to snow. Just as the farmers had predicted, this year's wheat harvest was very poor. Its share of the food supply dropped from 80% to 40%. Potatoes made up for 30%. Meat accounted for 20%. The overall food reserves were now in the yellow. The overall food reserves were now in the yellow. The potatoes arrived just in time. Otherwise, there would have been a huge food shortage in the winter. This was another benefit of civilizational progress. People would think, worry, and observe. This led to more communication and experimentation. As the god behind the scenes, I could also tell from the pixel people's confusion, the subtle changes in the pixel world, and make targeted adjustments. During this relatively short winter, two things happened. First, the Salt Lake tribe came over and bought a batch of food at a high price. According to them, because the drought had lasted so long, most of the other tribes they contacted had fallen into famine. The Garlic tribe was already considered a relatively wealthy area. Second, a group of 22 immigrants arrived from the Salt Lake tribe. Among them were 2 carpenters, 2 apothecaries, and 1 salt worker. For the first time in history, the Garlic tribe had attracted a group of professionals. On one hand, they had some understanding of the Yao god faith. On the other hand, because of the drought and famine, there was nowhere better than the food-producing Garlic tribe to have a chance at a full meal. The carpenters had logging and woodworking skills. They went into the forest during winter to start logging and built the Garlic tribe's first wooden house. The apothecaries filled the gap where only the shaman knew medical skills. They went into the forest to gather herbs and treat the sick, saving quite a few lives. The salt worker found some salt in the western mountains. Although the yield wasn't high, it still provided the tribe with another way to obtain salt. I poured myself a glass of ice cola, tore open a bag of cucumber-flavored potato chips, and looked down at the little tribespeople working busily. I felt as if I had become one with them. My body even felt stronger. I'm not going to mess around anymore. I just want this steady happiness.